So we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to the whole house of Yasha'al. That is to say, the whole Ba'if of Yasha'al, all 12 tribes. Wherever your feet are touching the soil on this Yom, to the elder brother Yehuda, to the younger brother Ephraim, to the former stranger, the former Gentile, the former foreigner, who was formerly estranged from citizenship in Yasha'al, and formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. But having now received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, by which you may now cry, Abba, Father, and whereby, having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, you have been engrafted and re-engrafted into the olive tree. And by extension, you have been re-engrafted into the tree of life, whereby now you are no longer estranged from the promises and the covenants and the inheritance, but you are now fellow partakers, and you are now privy to the very same everlasting covenant that was made with Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. We welcome you. We welcome you to the Ba'if of Yasha'al. Indeed, this is what it is all about. This is the purpose and the mission of the people of Yahuwah, and that is to reconcile Adam back to him in the bond of covenant. And so we welcome you. We welcome the whole Ba'if of Yasha'al, the elder brother, the elder Ak Yehuda, the younger Ak Ephraim, to the former stranger, the former Gentile, the former foreigner. We welcome you on this most Kadush Yom, this Shabbat Yom, this 7th Yom, which is his Shabbat forever, which is a sign and a seal and a mark of the everlasting covenant that he has made with his people. It is the day in which identifies him as the Elohim of creation. We welcome you wherever your feet are touching the soil. We are grateful that you have joined us this Shabbat Yom, that you have joined YAHUAH'S remnant for another Shabbat Yom. For those of you who are on YouTube who will hear this teaching later on, Shabbat Shalom to you, and we are grateful once more that Yahuwah has led you to his channel to fellowship with his people on this most Kadush Yom. Shabbat Shalom to you, wherever your feet touch the soil. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So we are now still on this path, Barak Yahuwah, searching for the ancient path. Searching for the ancient path. It's been a few months now since Yahuwah has directed us back and turned us back to the ancient path, which is the narrow path, which is the way everlasting that leads to everlasting life, which is Torah, which is Yahuwah. He has directed us back to this path in this Muadah, which is to say appointed time or appointed season. And he has revealed to us in this Muadah that it is the ancient path. It is the perfect path, the perfect way. It is the servant's entrance, because this indeed is what the ancient path is. It is the servant's entrance. It is this path in this Muadah that if we continue in it, that it will lead us back to Mount Zion, where we will be given a song in which no one else can sing. And so this path has taken many twists and turns. There's been many things that Yahuwah has revealed to us along this path. One of the things that he's revealed to us is that there are two manner of people. Either you're born from above or you're born from below. Either you are seed of Yahuwah or you are the seed of the wicked one. Along this path, he has shown us that it has always been this distinction. It has always been about this separation since the very beginning. He has shown us in walking this path, as we have looked upon the examples of our ancient fathers, beginning with Adam, how it is only those who are born from above, which translates into those who are his firstborn according to the Ruach. It is only these, in accordance with his righteous Torah, Exodus chapter 13. It is only these who will be redeemed. It is only these who will be saved from the hour of trial. He showed us this, that there is nothing new under the sun. He showed us that during the time before the flood, that indeed it was his firstborn, born according to Ruach, who were delivered from the hour of trial. And it was the firstborn, who were firstborn according to the flesh, who were destroyed. Firstborn according to the flesh will never be ransomed. It is only the firstborn according to the Ruach who will be redeemed. Indeed, these are the two manner of people. This is the two manner of people. Either you are firstborn according to the Ruach, or you are firstborn according to the flesh. Adam was firstborn. He was the firstborn of creation, and he was not born of flesh and blood. He was born of Elohim. And all of his true descendants are born or reborn in a similar manner. Barak Yahuwah. Cain, on the other hand, Cain, was the firstborn according to the flesh. He belonged to the wicked one, because the wicked one is the owner of the flesh. Cain was the firstborn according to the flesh. Hence, he is part of this two manner of people. Either you are descended from Cain, which is the firstborn according to the flesh, or you are descended from Adam, and by extension, you are descended from Seth. Now, Seth was the firstborn according to the Ruach after the death of righteous Abel, or righteous Habal, who too was firstborn according to the Ruach. Again, Cain was firstborn according to the flesh, and both he and his descendants were destroyed. And both he and his descendants will be destroyed. Abel, a Habal, was firstborn according to Ruach. And by extension, Seth, a Shaph, was firstborn according to Ruach. And thus, in Genesis chapter 5, you see the genealogy of Seth, or more accurately called Shaph, and you do not see the genealogy of Cain, because it is only the firstborn that count. It is only the firstborn who will receive the possessions or the inheritance of the father. And thus we see in Genesis chapter 5, we see a righteous lineage of firstborn sons, not born according to the flesh like wicked Cain, but who are born according to Ruach. Born according to Ruach. Yahuwah has shown us that all of his firstborn sons are perfect. They must be perfect. We must be perfect because he is perfect. We are commanded to be perfect as our Father is perfect. We are commanded in the Torah to be kadush as he is kadush, which is to say, be perfect as he is perfect. And the only way to be perfect, as he has shown us, is to what? Is to be born from above. Is to be born from perfection. Because there is only perfection in Shamayim. There is no imperfection in Shamayim. And so if we are born from Shamayim, we are indeed his firstborn, and we are indeed perfect, as he is perfect. And so this Shabbat, we're going to continue along this line. I'm not going to do a complete recap. If you're here on YouTube, and if you haven't watched part 29, and this will be part 30 of Searching for the Ancient Path. And if you're taking notes, again, this is going to be Searching for the Ancient Path, part 30, Firstborn are perfect. Firstborn are perfect. I'm not going to do a complete recap of last week. If you're here listening via YouTube and you haven't watched part 29, you're going to have to go watch part 29, because I'm not going to do a complete recap of what we spoke about last week. But continuing this week, along the subject of searching for the ancient path, part 30. Firstborn are perfect. Firstborn are perfect. And understanding that only the firstborn are redeemed, and only the firstborn will be redeemed in accordance with Torah. We continue this walk in looking at Genesis chapter 26. We ended in looking at Genesis chapter 25 last week, in establishing indeed that firstborn are perfect, because there was a distinction made there between the firstborn according to the flesh, which was Esau, and the firstborn according to the Ruach, which was Yaakov, and which he is described in chapter 25 of Genesis as being perfect. As being perfect. The Hebrew word there again, for those of you who have not heard this, the Hebrew word there for perfect is tam. Tam. Ta and mom. Ta and mom. Ta is always indicative of covenant, because Yahuwah is the Aleph and the Ta, the beginning and the everlasting covenant. Mom is always indicative of spirit, of Ruach, because mom represents water, and water is, Ruach is represented by water. And so here in the word Tam, we see this identifies a person who is in covenant with Yahuwah. And the definition of Tam is someone who is what? Who is quiet, who is gentle, who is perfect. Who is perfect. And being quiet and gentle is a part of being perfect. And this describes Yaakov. This describes Yaakov, who was not firstborn according to the flesh, but who was firstborn according to the Ruach. And all of his righteous descendants, no different than beginning at righteous, beginning with perfect Adam, are reborn in a like manner, not being corrupted by the corrupt seed of man, but being reborn of Ruach, not of flesh, not of blood, but of water and of Ruach. But of water and of Ruach. And it is these who are the righteous descendants of Yaakov, in accordance with Torah, who are going to be redeemed from the earth in this Moadah, and who are going to be saved from the hour of trial. And who are going to be saved from the hour of trial. But before we get to Genesis chapter 26, in continuing in looking at the example of Yaakov, and in looking at the example of Yaakov, and comparing our lives and our walk to his, and ensuring that we are indeed related to him, because we have the very same characteristics that he has, and that our lives line up with his. Before we get to that, I want to say a couple of nights ago, Yahuwah awakened me in the middle of the night, and he put a strong urge in my ruach, a strong urge to take a look at Exodus chapter 12, to look at Exodus chapter 12, and to allow him to speak through me regarding Exodus chapter 12 to his beloved children. And many of you know that Exodus chapter 12 deals with Passover. It deals with Pesach. We're not yet upon Pesach, but we're in the Pesach season. We're approaching the Pesach season. But Yahuwah, we don't have to be in the Pesach season yet. Yahuwah does as he pleases. But it is my belief that he wants me to allow him to speak through me regarding Exodus chapter 12, because this is a Muadah, and the time of our redemption draws near. And the time of our redemption draws near. And I believe that he wants us to take a look at that. He wants to speak through his servant regarding Exodus chapter 12, because indeed our redemption draws nigh. Our redemption draws nigh. That Passover, that one Passover, and we don't know which one, but that Passover in which he comes to redeem his people, in which he comes to redeem who? The firstborn according to the flesh. The firstborn according to the flesh, the firstborn according to the Ruach. Forgive me, Father. The firstborn according to the Ruach, whereas the firstborn according to the flesh will be left to deal with the hour of trial. And so, if you have your text, if you have your scriptures, let's take a look now at Exodus chapter 12, because this deals with a Muadah. This deals with an appointed time. And I believe that Abba, again, wants his servant to speak about this. He wants to speak through his servant about Exodus chapter 12, because our redemption draws nigh. Indeed, our redemption draws nigh. So Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, that is Shemot chapter 12. Shemot chapter 12. And let's allow Abba to speak to us. About Exodus chapter 12. About the second Exodus specifically, that's soon to come. Let's allow Abba to speak to us, to speak to his people about our coming redemption from the hour of trial. Exodus chapter 12, Shemot, Exodus chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. We read,
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This new moon is the beginning of new moons for you. It is the first new moon of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Yasharal, saying, On the 10th day of this new moon, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb.
On the 10th day of this new month. They translate that as moon, but it's more accurately month. Kadash, month. So on the 10th day of this new month, you are to take a lamb for yourselves. Read.
According to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beings. According to each man's need, you make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male.
Let the lamb be a what?
Perfect one.
A what?
A perfect one.
Say it again.
A perfect one.
A perfect one. Tamim. A perfect one. We know that this lamb is what? Is a representation of the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the earth. We know that the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the earth is a representation of who? Of Adam. And by extension of Yashar'al. And so if this lamb is to be perfect and this lamb is a representation of us, then we too are to be what? Perfect. Tamim. Tam. Read.
Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same new month.
Yes.
Then all the assembly of the congregation of Yasharel shall slay it between the evenings. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its inward parts. And do not leave of it until morning, and what remains of it until morning you are to burn with fire. And this is how you eat it. Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
And your staff in your hand.
And you shall eat it in haste.
And you shall eat it in haste.
It is the Passover of Yahuwah.
It is the Passover of Yahuwah.
And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night.
And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night.
And I shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim.
And I shall strike the firstborn according to the flesh in Mitzrayim. The firstborn according to the flesh are the sons of Cain, are the children of the wicked one. I shall strike them that night, because there is no redemption for those who are born according to the flesh. Because those who are born according to the flesh are not under Torah. You can't be under Torah unless you are under Torah in Ruach and in truth. You cannot. And so he is only going to redeem those who are under Torah in Ruach and in truth, who are the firstborn according to the Ruach. I'm coming. He's saying, I'm coming that night to strike all of the firstborn according to the flesh. Yes, I am. Here's that distinction. The firstborn according to the flesh and the firstborn according to the Ruach. He says here, you, the firstborn according to the Ruach, Yahakub. Yes, this is Yahakub. Yashar'al is Yahakub. Yahakub was firstborn according to the Ruach. Esau was firstborn according to the flesh. This is Yahakub. You, Yahakub, Yashar'al, I want you to take some dung and I want you to put it on the doorpost of the lintels, right? In other words, I want you to seal yourselves in, because I don't want you to come out before morning. You're going to be sealed in. Oh, he's going about sealing his people. Yes, he is. He's going about sealing his people. Do you not know that it is the dam that seals us? It is the dam, the blood of Yahushua, that seals us. Now, I purposely said dam, because dam in the Hebrew or Abarit gives us a more accurate understanding of what dam is and what dam represents. Dam represents life. Yes, it does. Is not the life of the creature in his blood? Yes, it is. Is it not the Ruach that gives life? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so in dam, we see the Abarit of Hebrew letters Dalet and Mam. We see Mam again, which is representative of water, which is representative of Ruach. Oh, I pray somebody get this. And so it was those who have been sealed by the Ruach with the dam upon the doorpost, in which you're going to live. It is which those who are firstborn according to the flesh, it is these who are going to perish. And he says here, I want you to eat unleavened bread. He said this to the firstborn according to the Ruach. He didn't say this to the firstborn according to the flesh. Because why? Because the firstborn according to the flesh can't eat unleavened bread. Do you still think that it is about a cracker? This is about walking the ancient path. What is the ancient path? The ancient path is walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. Unleavened represents righteousness. Leaven represents unrighteousness. You can't walk in righteousness in your flesh, and thus you're going to perish. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're going to perish because the flesh can't keep Torah. The flesh does not want to keep Torah. It is impossible for the flesh to keep Torah. And so here he's made a distinction between the firstborn according to the flesh and the firstborn according to the Ruach. The firstborn according to the Ruach are sealed by the dam, by the Ruach. And the destroyer is going to pass them over. I'm going to redeem you, firstborn. Yeah, I'm going to come through Egypt, through the land of Mashraim, and I'm going to redeem you. I don't want to get ahead of the text, but I'm coming to redeem you this night. In accordance with Torah, I'm coming to redeem you because you are my true firstborn. Because you're not born according to the flesh. You're born according to the Ruach. And you are walking my unleavened, you are eating unleavened bread, which is to say you are walking the unleavened path, the ancient path, which is to say you are walking in sincerity and truth. You are obeying the Torah, the righteous Torah, and not turning from it to the right or to the left. You have taken all leaven out of your wicked heart. Yes, you have. You have taken all that wicked leaven, all of that wicked unrighteousness out of your heart, and you have allowed me to circumcise your wicked heart and write my Torah upon it and give you a love for it and a willingness to obey it so that you can walk this unleavened path. This ancient path in sincerity and truth, which you can't do in your flesh. Firstborn, read.
Both man and beast, and on all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim, I shall execute judgment.
Oh, I'm not only going to kill your firstborn according to the flesh, but I am going to punish all these so-called mighty ones. I'm going to punish them too. I'm going to punish them too on this night. Yes, I am. Read.
I am Yahuwah, and the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are.
Oh, the blood, the dam. The dam shall be a sign. Shall be a sign. Oh, what do you mean, teacher? What do you mean, messenger, a sign? Well, the Hebrew word here is ahuf. Ahuf. The Hebrew word here for sign is ahuf. Now, this is the same word that you're going to find in Exodus chapter 31, that the Shabbat day is a sign forever between Yahuwah and his people. Ahuf. Ahuf. Now we know what? That it is the Shabbat day, that the Shabbat day is a sign forever between him and his people, because it what? It joins us into covenant with Yahuwah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. In Ahuf, we have what? We have Aleph, and we have U, and we have Ta. We have Aleph, U, Ta. Ta, again, is a representation of covenant. U is represented by a tent peg, or something that affixes, or something that joins. Aleph is a representation of Yahuwah because it is represented by an ox. It is represented by power or an ox. This is Yahuwah. And so it is a Shabbat day that what? That joins us in the covenant with Yahuwah. But here he says this dam is a sign as well. Awuf. How so? Because it is the Ruach, which is dam is indicative of, which joins us into covenant with Yahuwah. When his Ruach enters us and circumcises our wicked hearts and writes his Torah upon it, whereby giving us a love for Torah and a willingness to obey Torah. And as he enters us, as a man enters a woman, he whereby enters into covenant with us. Yes, it is a sign. The Ruach is what joins us, is who joins us into covenant with Yahuwah. Yes, there's a sealing. There's a sealing, you see, going about in the Arats, where he's sealing with his dam, where he's sealing with the Ruach, where he's sealing his firstborn right now to make a distinction, and to redeem them from the hour of trial, whereas the firstborn, according to the flesh, is going to have trouble. Because you refuse the preaching and the teaching of his messengers who have been crying out cry out for his Ruach, cry out for this sealing, because you're not in covenant unless you receive him. But your hearts are hard and your necks are stiff, and you're still a firstborn according to the flesh, thinking that your zitzits and your name change and your head wraps and your linen garments and even your immersion, which is a representation, a mere representation of receiving the Ruach. You still got to receive him. After the immersion, you still got to receive the Ruach in order to be sealed. But you think because of that in your genealogy that you're going to be sealed. No. You've got to be born according to Ruach. Your genealogy is going to get you invited to a barbecue. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Read, little one.
And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you.
When I see the dam, when I see my seal on you, when I see the Ruach on you and in you, I shall pass over you, and I shall redeem you, and I shall keep you from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Read.
And let the plague not come on you to destroy you.
And let the plague not come upon you to destroy you. Read.
When I strike the land of Mitzrayim.
Oh, he's going to strike the land of Mitzrayim a second time. Yes, he is. Who is Mitzrayim? Mitzrayim is the earth. Who is Pharaoh? Pharaoh's Hashatan. Yes, he is. He's a harsh taskmaster. Pharaoh, Hashatan, is master over the flesh. Yes, he is. He is master over the flesh. The flesh is Egypt. Yes, it is. The flesh is Egypt, and Hashatan is master over it. He is master over it. And the only way from his grasp is to be reborn from above, whereby being firstborn according to the Ruach. Read.
And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law, command.
An everlasting decree, an everlasting law. How long is everlasting?
Everlasting.
Everlasting is everlasting, isn't it? Barak Yahuwah. Keep reading.
7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you shall cause leaven to cease from your house.
It ain't about no cracker. You get that wickedness out of your heart. You get that leaven out of your heart. On the first day that you hear the name Yahuwah, that you hear the name Yahusha, and you harden not your heart, you get that wicked leaven out of your heart, and you cause it to cease from your heart. And you walk this ancient path, this unleavened path of sincerity and truth. Oh, that's still Torah? You think he's talking about a cracker, and you think he's talking about a physical house? He's talking about this dwelling place. Get that leaven out of your house. Get that leaven, that wicked leaven out of your heart, which you can't do, which only the Ruach can do if you cry out to him and invite him into your wicked heart. Read.
For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day.
You continue to operate in leaven? Listen here. You continue to operate in leaven Now here is how it is written in the book of Hebrews. It says, if we continue in leaving, it says sin, but sin is leaving, crime is leaving. If you continue in leaving, a crime, a sin, after an offering has been made for you, there remains no more offering for your leaving, but only the fearful expectation of fire and judgment. Do you see? We have the advantage of knowing who that dumb represents. They didn't know. You and I know. We know who that dumb belongs to. We know. So you have no excuse. You have no excuse to leave that leaving, that purposeful crime in your heart. You have no excuse. No excuse. And if you leave it there, what does that mean? You're still in Egypt. You're still in Egypt. You're still a firstborn according to the flesh. You're still a descendant of Cain. You're still a descendant of Esau. And like them, you're going to perish. Like them, you're going to perish. Read.
That being shall be cut off from Yasharal.
Oh, do you think this is a joke? You're going to be cut off. You keep walking and leaving if you want to after that offering, that perfect offering of Yahushua HaMashiach has been made for you. Oh, I pray a Christian listens to this video. Do we remain in crime to make, do we remain in crime so that favor may increase? Sha'al says, Shamayim forbid. How can we remain in sin, a crime, a leaving, after we have died to it? You stay in it, you children of Cain, if you want to. Like Cain, like Esau, like the children of Cain before the flood, and like the children of Cain, the firstborn according to the flesh, in this Muadah, you're gonna be destroyed like them. Read.
And on the first day is a Kadush gathering, and on the seventh day you have a Kadush gathering. No work at all is done on them, only that which is eaten by every being. That alone is prepared by you. And you shall guard the festival of Matzah. For on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim.
For on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim. You see, Mitzrayim, it represents leaving. It represents sin. It represents crime. And so he did not die. He did not shed his dam in accordance with Matthew, the 1st chapter. And you shall name and you shall call him Yahushua, because he shall what? Deliver his children from their crimes, from leaving. And so he didn't die so that we could remain in leaving. He died to set us free from leaving by sending down his Ruach so that we can be set free from leaving, so that we then can walk the unleavened path of sincerity and truth, which is the ancient path. We cannot do it without his Ruach, without being firstborn according to the Ruach. And if we are firstborn according to the Ruach, in accordance with what we are reading here, we will be redeemed and saved from the hour of trial. Read, little one.
And you shall guard this day throughout your generations, an everlasting decree. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new month, in the evening you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the new month in the evening. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses.
Get that wickedness out of your heart. Get that leaven out of your heart. And invite his Ruach in you. Invite his Ruach in you so that he can circumcise your heart and cause us to walk the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. Read.
For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasharal.
You shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasharal. He did not die. If any being commits crime willingly, after this crime offering has been made, there remains no more crime offering for your crime, but only a fearful expectation of punishment, fire, and death. He is only coming for the firstborn according to the Ruach, who are perfect, who walk the perfect path of unleavened bread, of sincerity and truth. Read.
Whether sojourner or native of the land, Do not eat that which is leavened in all your dwellings. You are to eat unleavened bread. And Masha called for all the elders of Yasharal and said to them, Go out and take lambs for yourself, according to your clans, and slay the Plashah. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning.
Until morning. You're sealed in. As Yahuwah sealed Noah and his children and their wives in the ark, he himself shut them in. He himself sealed them in. The firstborn, according to the Ruach, these were sealed in by the Dam, by Yahuwah, by the Shed Dam, by the Ruach. They were sealed in and they lived. Yahakub, firstborn according to the Ruach, lived. Cain, firstborn according to the flesh, the seed of the wicked one, they perished. Read.
And Yahuwah shall pass on to smite the Mitzrites, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts, and Yahuwah shall pass over the door, and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you.
Who is the destroyer? In accordance with the book of Jubilees, the destroyer of Hashatan himself. Yes. Does not Hashatan hold the power of death? Yes, he does. He holds the power of death, in which Yahusha took away from him. And so this is why in Revelation 20, we see what? We see hell and death and the grave cast into the lake of fire simultaneously with Hashatan, because he is all that. He is all that. He is the destroyer. Why is that significant? Because he ain't even loyal to his own. He ain't even loyal to his own. He came in and destroyed his own firstborn. He came in and destroyed his own. He is the destroyer. He is the same destroyer, Abaddon, that we find in Revelation 9 having the key to the bottomless pit. Abaddon, which means destroyer. He is the destroyer. Oh, there is no loyalty amongst thieves, as they say. Read, little one.
And you shall guard this word as a decree for you and your sons forever. And it shall be when you come to the land which Yahuwah gives you, as he promised, that you shall guard this service. And it shall be when your children say to you, What does this service mean to you? Then you shall say, It is the Pesach, slaughtering of Yahuwah, who passed over the houses of the children of Yasharel in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrites and delivered our households.
When he smote the firstborn according to the flesh and delivered the firstborn according to the Ruach, Yahakub. Read.
And the people bowed their head and did obeisance. And the children of Yasharel went away and did so as Yahuwah had commanded Masha and Aharon, so they did. And it came to be at midnight that Yahuwah struck all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim.
All the firstborn according to the flesh, he struck. Read.
From the firstborn of Parah, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the captive, who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. And Parah rose up in the night, he and his servants, and all the Mitzrites, and there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Then he called for Masha and Aharon by night and said, Arise, go out from the midst of my people, both you and the children of Yasharal, and go and serve Yahuwah as you have said. Take both your flocks and your herds as you have said, and go. Then you shall bless me too.
Barak Yahuwah. Mishpaka, there is much death coming to this earth. Do not think that we're going to get out of here before we see some destruction. Our eyes are going to behold some things, but only with our eyes shall we see. And no plague shall come near our dwelling. No plague shall come near our dwelling. There are some things that we're going to see. There is much death and destruction and pestilence coming upon this earth. But he is giving commandment to not harm the oil and the wine, to not harm his firstborn according to the Ruach. Do not harm his firstborn according to the Ruach. There's much death, and there's much death to come. Read.
And the Mitzrites were strong on the people, to hasten to send them away out of the land, for they said, We are all dying. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls bound up in their garments on their shoulders. And the children of Yasharel had done according to the word of Masha, And they had asked for the Mizrites objects of silver and objects of gold and garments. And Yahuwah gave the people favor in the eyes of the Mizrites, so that they gave them what they asked, and they plundered the Mizrites. And the children of Yasharel set out from Ramses to Succoth, about 600 men on foot, besides the little ones.
About 600,000 men on foot, besides the little one. It was spoken to us last week that he always counts the men. He only counts men. It's always about men. And there's nothing new under the sun. When he gets us out of here, when he comes to redeem his firstborn, he is only going to count 144,000 men. Not counting the little ones, not counting the women, not counting the strangers who've attached themselves to us. Read.
And a multitude went up with them too, also flocks and herds, very much livestock. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, since they were driven out of Mitzrayim and had not been able to delay, nor had they prepared food for themselves. And the sojourn of the children of Yasharel who lived in Mitzrayim was 430 years. And it came to be at the end of the 430 years, on that same day, it came to be that all the divisions of Yahuwah went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night of watches unto Yahuwah for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim. This is the night of watches unto Yahuwah for all the children of Yasharel throughout their generations. And Yahuwah said to Moshe and Aharon, this is the law of the Pesach. No son of a stranger is to eat of it. But any servant a man has bought for silver, when you have circumcised him, then let him eat of it.
Then let him eat of it. Do you think this is about a circumcision of a flesh? That points towards the circumcision of the heart. Sha'al expounds upon this. This points towards the circumcision of the heart. In other words, no one who is not in covenant with Yahuwah can partake of the Pesach. No one who is not in covenant with Yahuwah can take of the Pesach. And thus, when he comes to redeem his firstborn, the strangers who too have been sealed with his Ruach and who have a circumcised heart will be taken along with the 144,000 sons of Jacob. They will be taken along. Those who have the circumcision of the heart. This is not about the circumcision of the flesh. This is about the circumcision of the heart. Read, little one.
A sojourner and a hired servant does not eat of it. It is eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the flesh outside the house, nor are you to break any bones of it. All the congregation of Yasharel are to perform it. And when a stranger sojourns with you and shall perform the Pesach to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and perform it. And he shall be as a native of the land. But let no uncircumcised eat of it.
Let no uncircumcised of heart eat of the Pesach. Now I know we're not at Pesach yet, but you should begin to now examine yourselves. If you have not received his Ruach, whereby he has circumcised your heart, don't you eat of the Pesach. Don't you eat of it. You are bringing damnation upon yourself. Don't you dare eat of it. Read.
There is one Torah for the native born.
One Torah for the native born.
And for the stranger
who sojourns among you, because he is as the native born. Read.
And all the children of Yasharel did as Yahuwah commanded Moshe and Aharon, so they did. And it came to be on that same day that Yahuwah brought the children of Yasharel out of the land of Mitzrayim according to their divisions.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So here we find a distinction made between the firstborn according to the Ruach and the firstborn according to the flesh. Only those who are firstborn according to the Ruach. And I bring your attention again that Yashar'al is YAHUAH'S. YAHUAH'S is described as being perfect. He was firstborn according to the Ruach, not firstborn according to the flesh. And so are his descendants. And thus the dam on the doorpost represents Ruach. It represents Ruach. It represents being sealed by the Ruach. It represents being sealed by the Ruach. And only these were delivered from the distress, from the hand of the fowler, from the destroyer, from the pestilence, from the destruction, from the chaos, from the great distress that came upon the land. Only those. Only those. And so I believe Abba wanted me to take a look at that again because the time of our redemption draws nigh, and he wanted to make a distinction to hammer it home again, that either we are firstborn according to the Ruach, or we are firstborn according to the flesh. Now, in the next chapter, Exodus 13, we're not going to read it because we read it last week. He says there that he only redeems his firstborn sons. So in accordance with Torah, he only redeems his firstborn sons. We understand that in Revelation chapter 14, that what? There was 144,000 who had what? Been redeemed from the earth. These are firstborn sons who were born not according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach, and who are walking the unleavened path, the ancient path, the perfect path, without leaven. Without leaven. Unleavened means there is no leaven, and that means that it's perfect. It is perfect. Who are walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. Of sincerity and truth. I bring your attention to one more thing before we move on to Genesis 26. And this is for future reference. And this has to do with the appointed offerings of Yahuwah. The Passover lamb, Mashpaka, is an offering. It is an offering. And so when we get to Shabbat, when we get to the Passover, this is something to keep in the forefront of your mind. When we get to Passover, we have to accomplish it in every way in accordance with the text. And so at sunset, while we're not going to slay a physical lamb, we're going to give him an offering. We're going to give him the bulls of our lips, because an offering, this is an everlasting law. This is an everlasting decree, and we must continue to bring him an offering. And we will, at sunset, between the evenings on Passover, bring him an offering like we've lost our proverbial minds. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. And so now, continuing this, now that Abba has continued to make this distinction that either you are firstborn according to the Ruach, which means you are perfect, and which means you will be redeemed, which means you'll walk in the unleavened path of sincerity and truth, which is the ancient path, or you are firstborn according to the flesh. And if so, you're going to perish. You're going to perish. You will not be redeemed, because he only redeems firstborn sons. And you are only his firstborn son if you are born according to the Ruach, like Adam. Like Adam, who is his firstborn, who was born not by the hands of men, but by Elohim. And so are his descendants. And this righteous lineage was passed down to Yahusha, who too was not corrupted with the seed of man, but who was conceived by the Ruach HaKadosh, and whereby he too was born perfect. And unless, again, we are reborn in a like manner in which Adam was born, and in which Yahusha was born, we are not his firstborn, and we are not perfect. We are not perfect. All of his firstborn are perfect. All of his firstborn are perfect, and his firstborn are those who are born according to the Ruach. And if you're born according to the Ruach, he is going to redeem us and deliver us from the hour of trial, because we are sealed by the Dam. We are sealed by the Ruach HaKadosh, in accordance with Revelation chapter 7. Moving on now, Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. We left off last week in Genesis chapter 25, looking at the example of a righteous father, Yaakov, who was firstborn according to the Ruach. And now we're going to continue this week in Genesis of Bereshith chapter 26, in looking at the righteous path and the righteous example of our righteous father, Yaakov, who was born according to the Ruach, and looking at his example and ensuring that our walk aligns with his. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So if you have your text, Bereshith, Genesis is the first book. It's the first one of those of you who need to go to your index. Bereshith, Genesis is the first book. We're going to look at chapter 26. Chapter 26. Barak Yahuwah. How we looking for time?
48 minutes.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Genesis, Bereshith, chapter 26, beginning at verse 1. In chapter 25, we read about two manner of people, Yaakov and Esau, firstborn according to the Ruach and a firstborn according to the flesh. One more thing before we move on. We see there's another distinction between the firstborn according to the flesh and the firstborn according to the Ruach. We always see, how the firstborn according to the flesh persecutes the firstborn according to the Ruach. It's always been this way because they don't understand the firstborn according to the Ruach. It's always been this way. As we see how Cain, the firstborn according to the Ruach, persecuted Abel or Habal, the firstborn according to the Ruach. We see this again in the example of the Mitzrayim, who were firstborn according to the flesh, persecuting the firstborn according to the Ruach. We see this in the example of Ishmael and Yitzchak. The firstborn according to the flesh, who is Ishmael, tried to kill the firstborn according to the Ruach, who is Yitzchak. We see this again in the firstborn according to the flesh with Esau, then persecuting the firstborn according to the Ruach, who is Yaakov. We see this again in the firstborn according to the flesh, who were called the Pharisees, persecuting the firstborn according to the Ruach, who was the person of Yahusha. We always see this. We always see this. So where there is persecution, if you're born according to the Ruach, it's going to be someone, a firstborn, born according to the flesh. And so if you're being persecuted, either directly or indirectly, look no further than this distinction. Look no further than this distinction. Firstborn according to the flesh, firstborn according to the Ruach. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 26, beginning at verse 1, we read.
And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food, which was in the days of Abraham. And Ishkak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines in Gerar, and Yahuwah appeared to him and said, do not go down to Mitzrayim. Live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and bless you. For I give all these lands to you and your seed. And I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens. And I shall give all the lands to your seed. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed.
And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be Baruch. So Yitzchak, firstborn according to the Ruach, because Ishmael was firstborn according to the flesh. Yahuwah appeared to him. There was a scarcity of food in the land. There was a scarcity of food. Indeed, the firstborn according to the Ruach don't have to worry about scarcity of food. No, we don't. No, we don't. This is covered in Revelation chapter 6. Do not harm the oil or the wine during the time of scarcity of food. We don't have to worry about that. And so we see this example here. This is a characteristic of those who are born, who are firstborn according to the Ruach. The favor of Yahuwah follows you. During the time of drought, you are still planted by the waters, and your leaves will never wither. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. And so he tells Ishkak, who is firstborn according to the Ruach, don't go down to the land of crime. Don't go down to the land of sin. You continue to walk in the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. You don't go down there. And I'm going to favor you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to barak you. And your seed are going to be as the stars of Shamayim. This is the same renewal of the everlasting covenant that he made with Adam. Be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. He always renews this everlasting covenant with firstborn sons who are born according to the Ruach. Only firstborn sons who are born according to the Ruach. Indeed, the renewal of the everlasting covenant happens when his Ruach enters us and circumcises our heart, giving us the sign of covenant, which is the circumcision. Read, little one.
Because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my instructions, and my Torah, and Ishkak dwelt in Gerar. And when the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, she is my sister. For he was afraid to say, she is my wife, thinking lest the men of the place should kill me for Ribkah, because she is good looking. And it came to be, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, looked through a window, and he watched and saw Ishkak playing with Ribkah, his wife. So Abimelech called Ishkak and said, see, truly she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister? And Ishkak said to him, because I said, lest I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people had almost lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death. And Ishkak sowed in the land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and Yahuwah blessed him. And the man grew great and went forward until he became very great.
The favor and the barakah are on the firstborn sons of Yahuwah. You can't get around this. You can't get around this. If you are truly a firstborn son and you're walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth, I can tell you, I can testify that the favor and the barakut, which is to say blessings of Yahuwah, will follow you. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Try him. Try him and see. If you are truly a firstborn son according to the Ruach, and you are truly walking this unleavened path of sincerity and truth, then the barakut and favor of Yahuwah will follow you wherever you go. Why? Because he dwells in the midst of his people. Yahuwah dwells in the midst of his people, and wherever you go, he goes. And wherever he goes, there is barakah, there is barakut. Try him and see. Try him and see. Read, little one.
And he came to have possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great body of servants, and the Philistines envied him. And the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and filled them with dirt. And Abimelech said to Ishkak, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. So Ishkak went from there and pitched his tent in the Wadi Gerar and dwelt there. And Ishkak dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he called them by the names which his father called them. But when Ishkak's servants dug in the Wadi and found a well of running water there, the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Ishkak's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of that well Asak, because they strove with him. And they dug another well, and they strove over that one too.
So here's another characteristic, this patience thing and this self-control characteristic that we were talking about earlier, which is a trait and a characteristic of his firstborn sons. Now, he didn't fight with them. They strove with him, and he simply went and dug another well. Now, I call your attention to, like his father Abraham, Ishkak was a powerful man. He had many servants, many armed servants. He was not afraid to fight with these men, but he exercised patience and self-control. He showed himself to be a firstborn son, and rather than strive with them, he showed himself to be meek and humble, and he simply went and dug another well elsewhere. Read.
And he called its name Satna, and he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not strive over it. And he called its name Rakabuth, and said, for now Yahuwah has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And from there he went up to Bar-Sheba, and Yahuwah appeared to him the same night and said, I am the Elohim of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. And I shall bless you and increase your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built a slaughter place there and called on the name of Yahuwah.
Oh, see now, I pray you're getting this. So Yahuwah, again, he appears to his firstborn son. Yes, he does. He's been doing that since the very beginning, when he would love to come in the cool of the evening and commune with his son, with his firstborn Adam. And so in like manner with the descendants of Adam, firstborn sons, he still likes to appear to them. He still likes to commune with them. He still likes to speak to them regularly. This is another sign of being in covenant with him. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is another sign of being in covenant with him, and of being identified as a firstborn son, born not according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach. And here again we see that he built an altar, which indicates that he was a worshiper. He was a worshiper. All of his firstborn sons, listen, all of his firstborn sons, and you women who are joined, And you women who are joined, who too have his ruach. A characteristic is that we are worshipers. We are worshipers. And not only that, we what? We reverence him. We reverence him. There is a deep, profound reverence in us for our Father. This is a characteristic and a trait that you're going to find in all firstborn. In all firstborn is a deep reverence. Is a deep reverence for Yahuwah. And we worship him. And we worship him. And he communes with us. And he speaks with us on a regular basis. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Read, little one.
And called on the name of Yahuwah, and he pitched his tent there.
Oh, and we call on the name of Yahuwah. Yes, we do. We don't call on Yahweh. We don't call on Yahweh. We don't call on Yahweh or YAHUAH'S. We don't call on Yehovah or Yehovah. No, we don't call on Jehovah. We don't call on God. We don't call on Lord. We call on Yahuwah, his one true name forever. We call on the name of Yahuwah, no different than our ancient forefathers. Read, little one.
And the servants of Ishkak dug a well there, and Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Achuzazah, one of his friends, and Pakal, the commander of his army. And Ishkak said to them, why have you come to me, seeing you have hated me and have sent me away from you? But they said, we have clearly seen that Yahuwah is with you. And we said, please let there be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you do no evil to us as we have not touched you, and as we have done only good towards you, and have sent you away in shalom. You are now blessed by Yahuwah. And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. And they rose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Ishkak let them go, and they departed from him in shalom.
And they departed from him in shalom. Here's another trait of someone who was a firstborn and who is walking the ancient path of unleavened bread, walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. This is a man or a woman of integrity. A man or a woman of integrity. It is a man or a woman of shalom. Indeed, we are what? We are commanded to pursue shalom with all men and separateness, for without which no one shall see Elohim, no one shall see Yahuwah. And so this is a trait and a characteristic of a firstborn son. He is a man or a woman of integrity, and he or she seeks shalom with all men and separateness, for without which no man shall see Yahuwah. Read, little one.
And on the same day it came to be that the servants of Ishkak came and informed him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, we have found water. So he called it Shabah. Therefore the name of the city is Barat Shabah.
Barat Shabah.
To this day. And when Ashu was 40 years old, he took as wives.
Okay, now we're moving into Esau, Ashu. We're moving from Itzkak. We read that, and we had to read through that. It's a good thing that we read through that, because we saw some very key characteristics of Yitzchak, who was firstborn according to the Ruach. And we saw some very key characteristics there that we can use to align ourselves with, to ensure that we too are operating as firstborn sons, and that we too are walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. And now we take a look here at Esau. Read.
Yehudah, the daughter of Barai, the Hittite.
Go back, please.
Oh. And when Ashu was 40 years old, he took as wives Yehudah, the daughter of Barai, the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Alkon, the Hittite, and they were a bitterness of spirit to Ishkak and Ribkah.
Now, this is a firstborn according to the flesh, who was disobedient to his parents, who did not regard their wishes, and their wishes was that they follow the commandments of Abraham, and that they take not from the daughters of Canaan or Canaan, who were the seeds of Cain, who were the seed of the wicked one. He neglected their wishes. He totally disregarded their wishes, showing here that he is in fact the firstborn according to the flesh, that he is a descendant of Cain, because Cain did the same thing. Cain did the same thing towards his parents. He acted the same way towards his parents. Two manner of men, firstborn according to the flesh and firstborn according to the Ruach. Read.
Genesis 27.
Genesis chapter 27. Barshif chapter 27. Barshif chapter 27. Genesis chapter 27. Barshif, or Genesis chapter 27. Beginning at verse 1, we read.
And it came to be, when Ishkak was old and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called Ashu his elder son and said to him, My son.
Firstborn according to the flesh, Ashu, Esau.
And he answered him, Here I am. And he said, See now, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, please take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt wild game for me, and make me a tasty dish, such as I love, and bring it to me to eat, in order that my being does bless you before I die. And Rivkah heard when Ishkak spoke to Ashu his son, and Ashu went to the field to hunt wild game to bring it. And Rivkah spoke to Yaakub her son, saying, See, I heard your father speak to Ashu your brother, saying, Bring me wild game and make me a tasty dish to eat, and bless you in the presence of Yahuwah before my death. And now, my son, listen to my voice according to what I command you. Please go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, and I make a tasty dish from them for your father, such as he loves.
Now here's something that's unavoidable. Here's an unavoidable truth. You can take it as you will, but here is an unavoidable truth. Understanding that Yahuwah is Yahuwah, and he does as he pleases. He does as he pleases. Yaakov, we can precept Yaakov, the character, the person of Yaakov, with Romans 8:28. For he causes all things to work together for the good of those who love him, those who are called according to his purpose, those whom he foreknew, he predestined to be conformed to the image of his son. You see, the firstborn was never Esau's. It was never his. It was never his to begin with. You can say it ain't fair, but you'll be telling Abba Yahuwah he isn't fair. It was never his to begin with. It was never his. And so some may say that Yaakov gained it by trickery. It was never Ashu's to begin with. The birthright has always belonged to those who are firstborn according to the Ruach. And Esau was never of Ruach. He was always of the flesh. He was always of the wicked one. So the birthright never belonged to him. It was never his. So we can say that he got it by trickery. We can say that all we want, but it went to its natural. It went to whom it belonged to. The birthright went to whom it belonged to, which was the firstborn according to the Ruach, which is Yaakov. Read.
And you shall take it to your father, and he shall eat it, so that he might bless you before his death. And Yaakov said to Rivkah his mother, See, Ashu my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. What if my father touches me? Then I shall be like a deceiver in his eyes, and I shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice and go get them for me. And he went and fetched them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made a tasty dish.
Barak Yahuwah, just real quick. What is the birthright? The birthright is the birthright of the firstborn. And what is that birthright? The birthright is everlasting life. The birthright is the possessions of our Father Yahuwah, in which flesh and blood cannot inherit the reign of Elohim. Only those who are born of Ruach. This is the birthright. Flesh can't inherit. Only those who are born of Ruach. And Esau was born of flesh. Yaakov was firstborn according to Ruach. Read, little one.
Such as his father loved. And Rivkah took the best garments of her elder son Ashu, which were with her in the house, and put them on Yaakov, her younger son. And she put the skins of the young goats on his hand and on the smooth parts of his neck. Then she gave the tasty dish and the bread which she had prepared into the hands of her son Yaakov. And he went to his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? And Yaakov said to his father, I am Ashu, your firstborn. I have done as you said to me. Please rise, sit, and eat of my wild game, so that your being might bless me. But Ishkak said to his son, how is it that you found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because Yahuwah your Elohim brought it to me. Then Ishkak said to Yaakov, please come near so that I feel you, my son, whether you truly are my son Ashu or not. And Yaakov went near to Ishkak his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Ashu. And he did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like his brother Ashu's hands. And he blessed him. And he said, are you truly my son Ashu? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and let me eat of my son's wild game, so that my being might bless you. So he brought it near to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Ishkak said to him, please come near and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which Yahuwah has blessed. And Elohim give you of the dew of the heavens.
Listen to the barakah, the barakut of firstborn, according to the Ruach. Listen to the barakah. You see, the barakah, the barakut of Yahuwah, as has been previously spoken, always follows firstborn, who are born according to the Ruach. It follows us. It has no choice. It must follow us, because this barakah, this barakut, was spoken over firstborn according to the Ruach. And so it must follow us. It must follow us. It has no choice. So now listen to the barakah, the barakut that is spoken over the firstborn according to the Ruach. Read.
And Elohim give you of the dew of the heavens, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brothers, and let your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those cursing you, and blessed be those blessing you. And it came to be, as soon as Ishkak had finished blessing Yaakov,
this is the barakut spoken over those who are firstborn according to the Ruach, and all his descendants who are firstborn according to the Ruach. Read.
And Yaakov had hardly left the presence of Ishkak his father, that Ashu his brother came in from his hunting. And he too made a tasty dish, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, let my father rise and eat of his son's wild game, so that your being might bless me. And his father Ishkak said to him, who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn, Ashu. Then Ishkak trembled exceedingly, and said, who was it then who hunted wild game and brought it to me? And I ate all of it before you came, and I have blessed him. Yes, he is blessed. When Ashu heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, bless me too, O my father. And he said, your brother came with deceit and took your blessing. And Ashu said, was his name then called Yaakov? For he has caught me by the heel these 2 times. He took my birthright, and see, now he has taken my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Then Ishkak answered and said to Ashu, see, I have made him your master, and all his brothers I have given to him as servants, and I have sustained him with grain and wine. And what then shall I do for you, my son? And Ashu said to his father, have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, O my father. And Ashu lifted up his voice and wept. And Ishkak his father answered and said to him, see, your dwelling is of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the heavens from above. And by your sword you are to live and serve your brother.
And by your sword you are to live and serve your brother. All those who are firstborn according to the flesh, they live by the sword. They are violent people. They are violent people. All the firstborn according to the flesh, the son of Cain, the sons of Cain, the sons of Cain, the sons and daughters of Esau, they are violent people, and they live by the sword. Read.
And it shall be, when you grow restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. And Ashu hated Yaakov because of the blessing with which his father blessed him. And Ashu said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father draw near. Then I am going to kill my brother Yaakov. And the words of Ashu, her older son, were reported to Ribkah, and she sent and called Yaakov her younger son, and said, see, your brother Ashu comforts himself concerning you to kill you.
Barak Yahuwah. We see also here now the firstborn again, according to the flesh, they hate their brother. They hate their brothers and sisters, and they desire to kill them. The firstborn according to the flesh, this is a characteristic, this is a trait. Look around. to those who say they're Yasharal and who are not. A trait of those who are firstborn according to the flesh is that they hate their brothers and they want to kill them. They want to kill them and they plot against them, and there is hate and murder in their hearts. These are the firstborn according to the flesh. Read, little one.
And now, my son, listen to my voice and rise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's wrath turns away, until your brother's displeasure turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. And I shall send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day? And Rivkah said to Ishkak, I am disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Koth. If Yaakov takes a wife from the daughters of Koth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what is my life to me?
Barak Yahuwah. So we see here the firstborn according to the Ruach, it was his all alone. The Barakah was his all alone. But we see here that he is obedient to his parents. He is meek, he is quiet, he is gentle, he is complete, he is perfect. He is not born of the flesh, he is born of the Ruach. We see this in the very beginning when the firstborn according to the flesh, despised his birthright because he wanted something to eat. He was firstborn according to the flesh, and as firstborn according to the flesh, he pandered to his flesh. He pandered to his flesh. Food was a weakness. He pandered to his flesh, and he lost his birthright, which was never his to begin with. The birthright of Yahuwah is only given to those who are born of Ruach and not born of flesh and blood. Barak Yahuwah. Warrior, chapter 28.
Yes.
Barak Yahuwah. Barashith, chapter 27, chapter 28. Genesis, chapter 28. How we looking for time?
1 hour and 16 minutes.
Barak Yahuwah. Genesis, chapter 28. Barashith, chapter 28. So here we continue to see this distinction between the firstborn according to the flesh and the firstborn according to the Ruach. And I pray that by now you understand that only the firstborn according to the Ruach is going to inherit the possessions of the Father. Only the firstborn according to the Ruach is going to receive the Barakut, which is to say the blessings of the Father. And only the firstborn according to the Ruach is going to be delivered and saved from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth, whereas the firstborn according to the flesh is going to be destroyed. As we find in later texts where Esau was Esau was killed by an arrow. He was shot through by an arrow from Yaakov. And as we read in Obadiah or Obad 1, when we read about the destruction of Adum, when we read about the complete annihilation and destruction of Adum, and not just Adum, we understand that there are only two manner of men. Either you're Jacob or Esau. Either you are descendants of Cain or you're descendants of Seth. And so all of the seed of the wicked one, who are seed of Cain, who are seed of Esau, are going to perish. They're going to perish. These are the firstborn of Egypt. These are the firstborn of Egypt who are going to perish. Who are going to perish in the place of the firstborn who are born according to the Ruach. Barashith chapter 28. Genesis chapter 28, beginning at verse 1. We read.
And Ishkak called Yaakov and blessed him and commanded him and said to him, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bathaul, your mother's father, and take a wife for yourself from there, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And all Shaddai bless you and make you fruitful and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, and Elohim gave to Abraham, which Elohim gave to Abraham.
This is a firstborn barakah spoken over a firstborn son, not according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach. This follows those who are born according to the Ruach and not according to the flesh. These barakah, barakut, follow them. Read.
So Ishkak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padam Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel.
And he was obedient to his father, and he left. As any firstborn son would do, he obeyed his father. He obeyed the instructions of his father, And he left. Read.
The Aramean, the brother of Rivkah, the mother of Yaakub and Ashu. And Ashu saw that Ishkak had blessed Yaakub and sent him away to Padam Aram to take himself a wife from there. And that he blessed him, he gave him a command, saying, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Yaakub had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Padam Aram.
That Yaakub had obeyed his father and his mother in accordance with the Torah and gone to Paddan Aram. Now this firstborn according to the flesh, he sees this and now he envies. He's envy. He didn't do it because it was the right thing to do. He did it because he envied. He saw that his father approved of what Yaakub had done and that he had given him a barakah. And so being full of envy and guile, he then does what?
So Ashu saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Ishkak.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashu went to Ishmael and took Machalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nabaoth, to be his wife, besides the wives he had.
You see, so a firstborn according to the flesh has what? Has a false humility. They have a false humility. And there is always an ulterior motive within them. Always an ulterior motive within them. It's never for the right thing. It's always about them. Always about them and them getting an advantage. It's never about the right thing. It's never about esteeming Yahuwah. It's never about esteeming their father. It is always about them and gaining an advantage. So he envied his brother. He envied his brother. He saw that his father approved, and he thought within himself, well, how can I get some of this barakah? How can I get some of this barakah? You see, it's about scheming. It's all about a false humility. And so then he went and took a daughter from Ishmael, thinking that this was going to please his father. It wasn't about doing the right thing. It was about gaining an advantage. And this is a trait and a characteristic of the firstborn according to the flesh. Read, little one.
And Yaakub went out from Barah Sha'abah and went toward Haran, and he came upon a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed and saw a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reached to the heavens, and saw messengers of Elohim going up and coming down on it.
Once again, he reveals himself to whom? To the sons of the rain. He reveals himself to his firstborn sons. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He reveals himself. He always reveals himself to the sons of the rain, to his firstborn sons. If he hasn't revealed himself to you, perhaps you're not a firstborn son. Perhaps you're not. He always reveals himself to his firstborn sons, to the sons of the rain. This is a characteristic. Read, little one.
And see, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am Yahuwah Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Ishkak. The land on which you are laying, I give it to you and your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west and to the east, to the north and the south. And all the clans of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your seed. And see, I am with you and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land. For I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you.
He is always with his firstborn sons. He goes wherever they go. How? Because he is in us. He is in us. And he goes wherever we go. And so wherever his firstborn sons go, the reign of Elohim has come to that place. Wherever his firstborn sons go, he has given that place to us, because every place where our feet touch the soil, he has given to us because he goes with us. He is with his firstborn sons. He is always with his firstborn sons. He has to be with his firstborn sons, because if you are his firstborn son, that means what? That you've been born from above. And that means that his Ruach dwells in you. And so he goes wherever you go. Wherever you go, he goes with you. Read, little one.
And Yaakub awoke from his sleep and said, truly, Yahuwah is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of the heavens. And Yaakub rose early in the morning and took the stones that he had put at his head and set it up as a standing column and poured oil on it. And he called the name of that place Ba'ith all.
Ba'ith all, house of Elohim. Read.
However, the name of the city had been Luz previously. And Yaakov made a vow saying, see, Elohim is with me and has kept me in this way that I am going.
You can't make this up. I just told you. He is with his firstborn sons. He goes wherever we go. Wherever we go, he goes with his firstborn sons. He is always with us. He never leaves his firstborn sons. And his barakut follows his firstborn sons. His favor, his protection follows his firstborn sons. His shalom follows his firstborn sons. Wherever we go. Read.
And has given me bread to eat and a garment to put on. When I have returned to my father's house in Shalom, and Yahuwah has been my Elohim, then this stone which I have set as a standing column shall be Elohim's house, and all of that you give me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you.
Barak Yahuwah. His firstborn sons, they what? They reverence him. Again, they reverence him. They acknowledge him. They serve him. They obey him without compromise. Without compromise. They reverence him. They reverence him. He will be reverenced. And his firstborn sons, they reverence him. They acknowledge him. They worship him. They obey him. They serve him. And he goes with them wherever they go. Read, little one.
Bereshit 29, or Genesis 29.
Bereshit 29. I think we're going to stop right here. What are we looking at for time?
125.
125. I believe we're going to stop here as we make our way through the book of Genesis, looking at Yaakov and looking at his example. We're going to take our time looking at him and examining his character and examining his walk and ensuring that our walk aligns with the walk of our righteous father Yaakov, who was born not of flesh and blood, but born of Ruach, who is a firstborn son, who is perfect, who is and who was and is perfect, who was and is perfect, as all firstborn sons are perfect. Bereshit for Genesis chapter 29. Bereshit for Genesis chapter 29, beginning at verse 1. Read.
And Yaakov moved on and came to the land of the people of the east.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it.
Mm-hmm.
For out of that well they watered the flocks.
Mm-hmm.
And a large stone was on the well's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they would roll the stone from the well's mouth and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So Yaakov said to them, my brothers, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to them, do you know?
A man of Shalom. He's a man of Shalom. All firstborn sons are men of Shalom. He approached these men in Shalom. In Shalom he approached them. All firstborn sons of men of Shalom. Pursue Shalom with all men, and separateness, for without which no one shall see Elohim. Read, little one.
And he said to them, do you know Laban, son of Nachor? And they said, we know him. And he said to them, is he well? And they said, well. And see his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. And he said, see, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, we are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to be when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother.
An upright man, a man of integrity, a perfect man. Read.
And Yaakov kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And when Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rivka's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be when Laban heard the report about Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters. And Laban said to him, you are indeed my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a new month. Then Laban said to Yaakov, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know what should be your wages. And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. And Yaakov loved Rachel, so he said, "Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter."
So here, again, a man of integrity, an upright man, a perfect man, who understanding the Torah and understanding the law of the land and understanding that a bride's price is required, that a bride's price is required for a virgin. A bride's price is required for non-virgins as well. There's a price according to virgins, there's a price according to non-virgins. But Yaakov, being an upright man, a perfect man, a complete man, understanding Torah, offers to work 7 years. 7 years as a bride's price for the hand of Rachel. 7 years, a man of integrity, a perfect man, a upright man. He did not have a bride's price. Now, if you read the other books, in particular the book of Jasher or the book of Yeshar, he was given a bride's price. But the firstborn according to the flesh sent his elder son, according to the flesh, Eliphaz, to kill Yaakov. But rather than kill him, he robbed Yaakov of all his gifts. And so Yaakov then had nothing to give to Laban as a bride's price for Rachel. But being an upright man, a perfect man, a man of integrity, a firstborn son, a man of Torah, understanding that a bride's price is required, he offered his hand. He offered his labor. He offered to work for his bride for 7 whole years. Read, little one.
And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Yaakov served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Yaakov said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go in to her." And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Yaakov, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" And Laban...
He deceived him because he was seed of Esau. He was firstborn according to the flesh. When we read again the book of Jasher, it says that what? That Esau was a deceitful man, no different than Cain. He was a deceitful man. And so here's another characteristic of a firstborn according to the flesh, which we see in the example of Laban. But now let's continue to look at the example of the firstborn according to the Ruach and how he responded to this. With patience, with integrity of heart, with meekness. Let's see how he responded. Read.
And Laban said, "It is not done this way in our place to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we will give you this one too for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years." And Yaakov did so and completed her week.
And Yaakov did so and completed her week. He was a man of integrity. He was a perfect man. He was an upright man. He did so without complaint. He did so. Read.
Then he gave him his daughter Rachel too as wife. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. And he also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Laban still another 7 years.
And he served another 7 years. He didn't fight with him. He didn't quarrel with him. He did in accordance with his desire. Because it was incumbent upon Laban to do what? To set the bride's price. They're his daughters. He set the bride's price. That was in his control. Even though he came to Yaakov with guile in his heart, with deceit in his heart, to deceive this man. Yaakov, being meek and gentle and mild and humble, being an upright man, being a man of integrity, being a complete or perfect man, he did in accordance with this man's wishes. He did in accordance with this man's wishes, showing that he was a firstborn son, showing the characteristics and traits of a firstborn son. Read.
And Yahuwah saw that La'ah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And La'ah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Ra'uban, for she said, For Yahuwah has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Because Yahuwah has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too. And she called him Shama'un. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So his name was called Louis. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now I praise Yahuwah. So she called his name Yehuda, and she ceased bearing.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So we see the trickery and the guile, and we're going to stop here until next week. We see the trickery and the guile of Laban, how he tricked Yahuwah, but yet Yahuwah remained a man of integrity. He remained trustworthy. He remained upright, meek, and mild, and quiet, and gentle. He remained perfect, and he still, irrespective of the guile and the deceit that Laban had dealt with him with, he remained in his integrity. He remained upright. He remained perfect. He remained complete. We see the example of this in another firstborn son according to the Ruach, and that was Abraham. He operated in the very same Ruach, and he operated in the very same way. We see an example of this when his wife Sarah passed. She died. And although he knew that Yahuwah had already given him that land, it was already his by inheritance as the firstborn according to the Ruach, he still acted with integrity. He still acted uprightly. He still sought shalom with the people of the land. And although that cave was already his by birthright as a firstborn son, he did not dispose that information, but instead he purchased a cave that already belonged to him. And so this is the path. This is the unleavened path of sincerity and truth, of having no guile, of having no leaven. And this is the path in which Yahuwah has called us to. All these men were sealed by the Dam. All these men were sealed by the Ruach. And it is these and these alone who are going to be redeemed from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Only those who are walking upright. Only those who are perfect and complete. Only those who have been sealed by the Ruach. Only those who are firstborn sons in accordance with Torah are going to be redeemed. Only these are going to be redeemed and saved from the hour of trial. Thank you, Abba Yahuwah, for another Shabbat Yom.
Thank you, Abba Yahuwah.
Thank you for giving me the strength, Abba.
Thank you, Abba Yahuwah.
To once again allow myself to be your vessel.
Thank you, Abba Yahuwah.
I pray, Abba, that these words are not for naught. I pray that your words are not in vain, Abba, but that they are accomplishing that which you have sent them forth to do.
Please, Master.
That your people are grasping the importance, Abba, that genealogy means nothing, that knowing your name means nothing, that going through the motions means nothing unless we are born of Ruach.
Yes, Abba Yahuwah.
Indeed, that we are not your children, we're not your sons unless we're born of Ruach.
Yes, Abba.
In accordance with Romans chapter 8 and verse 9, it says that if we don't have your Ruach, then we don't belong to you.
Yes, Abba.
And I pray, Abba, that they're grasping this, that they're understanding the importance of being born from above, because in the time of trial and the distress to come, it is only these that you are going to redeem from the earth.
Yes,
I pray that these words, Abba, that these warnings and that these examples are sinking deep into the nephash and the hearts and to the kidneys of your people.
Please, Master.
And that they're examining themselves, and that they're turning from darkness into your marvelous light, that they're turning to your unleavened path, to your ancient path, the path of sincerity and truth, and walking it, Abba, in perfection, not turning to the right or to the left. I pray these words, Abba, that this seed, that none of them has fallen by the wayside, that none of them has fallen on stony ground,
Yes, Abba Yahuwah.
that none of them has fallen amongst thorns, but that this seed, that these words of life, Abba, has fallen on fertile soil,
Yes, Abba.
tilled and fertilized soil, such that your living water the water of the Ruach would come and water that seed, such that it would grow to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. I pray, Abba, that your word this day has accomplished that which you have sent it forth to do. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it.
So be it.
To those of you who are on YouTube, once again, we thank you for joining Yahuwah's Remnant for another Shabbat Yom. We pray for those who have been following these teachings, these messages closely, that you're being edified, and not just being edified, but that you're being pruned. And as you're being pruned, that our Father is causing you to bear more fruit, and that you're walking more closely with him and walking on this path of unleavened bread, this ancient path, more closely, and walking it, seeking to walk it in perfection. Not only that, but that understanding that it is impossible to walk this path without having his Ruach. That in these teachings that you have been crying out to Yahuwah for his Ruach, that you've been crying out for this living water, that you've been crying out, asking him to breathe on you, asking him to pour out his living water upon you so that you may live, because it is only the Ruach that gives life to flesh. It profits nothing. Indeed, the dam that is spread upon our doorposts, that seals us from the hour of trial. Indeed, the life of the creature is in its blood. We pray that you've been crying out for this dam, for this living water. We pray that you've been crying out for his Ruach, in which is the seal of redemption, in which he is pouring out right now to all who would cry out to him, all who would ask him. He is pouring out freely to give this living water to all who would ask him, in order to seal us and to deliver us from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it. Shalom.